Right now, Thailand and Cambodia are locked in deadly border clashes that have killed over a dozen people, including civilians. F-16 fighter jets are dropping bombs, artillery is flying, being lobbed across disputed territory, and tens of thousands are fleeing their homes or have been evacuated. Over 100,000 joint in both countries have been reported in the last 24 hours to have been evacuated or they've left themselves. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you about this Cambodia-Thailand conflict. There's likely very little to worry about. That's what mainstream media won't tell you because they're being sensational, and I'm not here to just farm views and exaggerate the stuff. I'm just here to give you genuine, sincere, unbiased analysis without the Western spin. So here's why this is not something to worry about in the mid to long term. Because both these nations are, geopolitically speaking, in a part of the world where the US has relatively little interest. That's enough, basically, not to be to make it so that you don't really need to be worried about something. I'll explain. First, the economics, though, just to give you an idea. Thailand, I'll put a map up of the countries. Thailand has an economy 10 times larger than Cambodia's, roughly, with 70 million people in Thailand and about 20 million in Cambodia, 17 million, I think. It's skewed, therefore, in Thailand's favor, the economics. So if war did break out, it may, as these two countries do have historic friction, but it's not likely, but it might. Even so, if it does get that far, it's unlikely that Cambodia would be able to put up any reasonable fight. Obviously, the war goals matter, right? If Thailand fully wanted to invade, that's probably not going to be easy due to the terrain, but that's also not something Thailand is expected to want to do. Now, in the unlikely event it does get that far, it still wouldn't become a proxy war nightmare like some regions in other parts of the world, because both nations, Thailand and Cambodia, operate outside the Western sphere of influence dominated by the United States. So the US has no real skin in this game, so it's unlikely to go very far, basically, is my summary. You can leave now. If you want a bit more detail, stick around for another 2-3 minutes. Cambodia, you see, is closely aligned with China, while Thailand just became a BRICS partner country, I think 5 months ago. So moving away from its US reliance, it was a key non-NATO strategic partner for the US, with the US for decades. Now it's moving towards the global South Bloc, led by China. So if they are on a side, these countries, as it were, if they're on a side, in Cold War 2.0 that's currently developing between the US and China, well, they're on the same side. So, conflict is unlikely to last very long. So the US, even if they wanted to, spotting a sort of opportunity to use this conflict to sort of try and stab China in the back, they can't weaponize this conflict. They don't have someone who's on their side. They're both on China's side. Now, when neither side can be used as a proxy, conflicts tend to stay localized and actually diminish quicker, generally speaking, because both sides see only their losses if conflict continues, and there's no great power or block of nations elsewhere egging them on, tempting them with more aid dangling above their heads, more advanced military hardware. I'm looking at you, of course, Ukraine. And the Western powers, in Ukraine egging them on. There's no equivalent here in Thailand or Cambodia. It's an interesting sort of segue that we're taking, or a tangent, into how proxy conflicts and great power interests might flare up and further exacerbate and elongate conflicts that otherwise are quite local and often naturally just die down much faster. The real story here in Thailand and Cambodia isn't colonial era border disputes and strategic temple sites, because this is how it initially started off, border disputes that led to the death of a soldier, and both sides had their nationalist sentiments flare up when they started started bombing and firing artillery shells over the border. Cambodia apparently struck a hospital. Then the civilians are saying in Thailand, how can you treat your neighbor like this when thousands of Cambodians are treated at Thai hospitals every year, where neighboring countries? It's all low-level tension, though. I don't want to make it seem like it's nothing, but analytically speaking, on the world stage relative to other conflict zones, for example, this is very low level. It's a demonstration of how conflicts are unlikely, once again, to spiral out of control in regions where the US is not involved. as without foreign backing, tempting groups or entire nations in some case into war, local tensions can often be eased up and diminished quite quickly. Now, my assessment, just to summarize, expect this Thailand Cambodia thing to simmer down soon, and you'll forget all about it, to be completely blunt. The real worry are the frontier states in Cold War 2.0, states aligned with China or the US that may find themselves caught in the crossfire of the great power shootout, right? They might find themselves catching strays, they might find themselves on territory that's strategically very valuable. They might be Taiwan, they might be Eastern Europe, they might be some other nations in the Pacific. Those are the countries to really worry about for the people from Thailand and the people from Cambodia. We wish you, of course, prosperity, safety, security, and peace. And for the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz, and I'll see you on the next one.